I'm going to say 2 hours. I say we're looking at 2 hours.
Okay.
It was 8 minutes in the Ontario one.
I'll say
so,
1
obviously
hour.
it's one time
I think-
zone, but like
I don't think it'll be too long.
If anybody,
Related, lonely,
want
a sense of
Rachel?
community. It's the same shit.
Really sorry to cut you off, but CTV's called it for the Liberals.
yeah, CTV already called it.
excuse me.
People have been asking, there's a list of resources that I posted on social media to look towards how you can help the Filipino community. They've specifically spoken out and said that they do not want people to be posting traumatic videos of the event. So fucking shame on you, every weird ass right-wing pundit on the internet who's been trying to capitalize on this and use this to try and promote this weird hyper police agenda and pretend that this was like, oh, this is because of a lack of police. That's the problem here. This is the soft on crime. NDP, David Eby, has basically let a crime state take place. And then when Trudeau was in power, he was polluting the streets with crime and he legalized crack cocaine and all this other weird bullshit that they're spewing right now. It's absolutely absurd. The fact that this was being called a terrorist attack by the right wing before they knew anything about it is shameless enough. They wanted to obviously set a narrative before one took place, but it just shows you how little they actually care about the community. I have a lot of Filipino family. My in-laws are Filipino, and like obviously I spent a lot of time with Filipino people. They're the kindest, most generous people you'll ever meet in your lives. And it's so fucked up again that they don't even get an opportunity to properly grieve. And like people are still on life support in the hospital right now. This was just like such a large scale, destructive and damaging and horrific thing that took place. Meanwhile, you've got weirdos on the internet trying to push their disgusting ass narratives about it. It's probably not a surprise just because of how the right wing are, conducting themselves these days, but it's still absolutely revolting to see. So here's the statement from the official Filipino BC site. To our community, we are still finding the words to express the deep heartbreak through on this senseless tragedy. We are devastated for the families and victims. We encourage everyone to check in, support, and hold each other. Do not hesitate to access resources available. You are not alone. Victim services are available 24/7 to those who witnessed or experienced trauma. You can call 1-800-563-0808 or email 211-victimlinkbc at uwbc.ca. 310 for the mental health line or 310-6789. The crisis line is 1-800-784-2433. We will not be taking any media requests as we are focused on supporting our community right now, in addition to experiencing this trauma. We also want to make it clear that we discourage the viewing and sharing of the videos that are currently circulating of the tragedy. In the coming days, we will be sharing more resources, more details will be made available by the VPD as the investigation unfolds from the Filipino BC community. But, being on with Matt Gaetz to talk, if Liberals win, Canada's over. Oh yeah, Matt Gaetz endorsed Pierre Poilievre, so that makes sense that, the alleged pedophile, human trafficking rapist, Matt Gaetz, will have things to say.
Elected office experience succeeded Trudeau as Liberal Party leader and as Prime Minister in March. Carney called for snap elections to solidify his mandate amid these growing tensions between the United States and Canada. Initially trailing in the polls, the Liberal Party has gained momentum under Carney's leadership, with recent projections indicating potentially a majority government under his rule of the country. Carney's platform emphasizes economic stability, defense spending to meet NATO commitments, and diversification of trade partnerships to reduce reliance on the United States.
Just yesterday, President Trump repeated.
I'm just astounded he's saying sentences. I really thought he would just be like, this guy's a Marxist communist, and that's why he's coming to impose woke ideology upon all. Instead, it was like actually things that are based in reality. That's jarring.
On Canada. He said he doesn't want Canada, I'm quoting, to play any part in the American.
The teleprompter is doing the work there. Yes, the teleprompter is definitely doing all the heavy lifting. I agree with you.
That the old relationship with the United States.
Thomas, thank you for the other dono. Happy Upside Down Tuesday, by the way.
Thank you. I
appreciate it.
It has been leading in early polls, but they've been criticized considerably in the Canadian.
Be for the sake of Canada. But if Canada goes the way the markets are predicting right now, which is a majority.
When they're saying markets, by the way, like everyone in the US and everyone on the right in Canada is all using Polymarket. I don't know if they're all sponsored by it or they want to be, or they're just seeing what's taking place. And like, if I talk about Polymarket enough, I'll get the tap by Polymarket. But it's just wild, It's just like, well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the polls, the markets are responding to this pretty quickly. What markets? The Polymarkets, by which I mean the amount of tokens people have bought in one direction or another to say yes or no. It's really showing Carney's supposed to win according to the Polymarkets. I'm like, well, that's great.
Liberal government, I mean, I say it's the end of Canada as we know it because I suspect what will happen afterwards is Alberta's going to move to secede, Quebec is going to move to secede, and it will be the end of Canada as we know it. And I'm not trying to be dramatic or hyperbolic. After a decade of Liberal rule, if
you're saying it like a threat, but like you could work towards not wanting Alberta to secede, you know, you could stop promoting all of the crazy all the time online. I mean, I'm sure a large portion of your audience watches some of the videos that you do on that kind of shit, and they're sitting there like, yeah, you know, we're really getting treaded upon. What do we do here? You know, I feel like Sneck. Yeah, Sneck, the snake. I feel like I'm being stepped upon. I don't want them to step on Sneck. What should we do here? Should we leave? Should Alberta become its own country, or should it become America? Yeah, America's hat.
There's another 4-year mandate and a majority government given to the Liberals. The province that have been most exploited economically, resource-wise, crippled economically and resource-wise, are going to try to join the state.
By the way, that is the argument that like provinces that want to secede usually say, right? It's like Quebec's argument is that there's just simply too much oversight and control by the federal government upon their own autonomy and ability to have sovereign governance over their people. And Alberta just always pleads that they have been taken advantage of by the federal government and they should have a right to leave. And it's, you know, these movements are getting larger. Not the Quebec one, that one's old. Like, you know, the Alberta one is relatively newer in that there is now an actual, you know, significant portion of the population that wants to either become their own country or join the United States.
It's become the 51st state. It'll be Alberta. And I think Quebec would follow suit after that.
If that indeed happens.
Separation is not popular overall in Alberta. It's getting a boost because the premier is a crypto separatist, but it's unpopular enough that she can't say it out loud. Interesting. Well, that's good. I'm glad.
And the Liberals are elected. How long do you think it would take before those secession efforts would be underway?
Alberta's sort of underway now. Quebec had been underway for the last 30 years. It takes time, and I'm not sure that it's going to be quite that catastrophic so quickly. But the point is, if Canada goes for another 4 years to a Liberal government that has spent the last 10 years literally destroying Canada, literally turning it into a satellite of the Chinese Communist Party.
When does that start? So do we get high-speed trains or any of that other really cool stuff I saw? Well, what about that like family sedan that goes faster than like, you know, sports cars? That sounds pretty cool. Or the upside down like subway systems, the ones where they're like floating on the top but on the bottom too, just to utilize as much space as possible. That looks. Can we have any of that? I don't know. Apparently we're already being governed by Chinese communist forces. So I'm just waiting for some of the fun Chinese communist like, you know, technology. That's all.
And India. Canada cannot last for much longer under a Liberal rule. What drives me absolutely ballistic is that I say Canada might be the most propagandized nation on earth, maybe after Australia, but even they seem to be.
Wow, that's wild too, because like we are heavily propagandized, but what he's not mentioning to you, it's by America. Like Americans are always like, wow, you Canadians are pretty obsessed with American culture, eh? And then it's like someone who just shoves a megaphone of all of the most like, you know, expensive fucking loud noise and sounds all the time at your face. And it's just like, even I'm not even talking about the entertainment industry alone, but that is very, very loud. It's like, do you love Marvel, Star Wars, massive properties? They're filmed in your backyard, but released around the world. But I'm more talking about the fact that like a lot of the media, so one of the big newspapers nationally in Canada is called the National Post. It's one of our largest newspapers, huge circulation, lots of people read it. It is very right-leaning and very, very pro Pierre Poilievre, and you wouldn't be surprised to learn that it happens to be owned by an American corporation. It is an American-owned media chain that has one of its hedge fund owners or leaders. He happens to be one of the key Trump donors as well. So it's just literally a propaganda media outlet on a national stage of Canada that promotes Trump-style politics through Canadians. And so that's the actual fucking propaganda that you get on a mass scale here. Not the we are secretly all Chinese communist loving, waiting for, you know, the glorious 1,000-year reign and the mandate of heaven from President Xi, and everyone is ready, waiting to take their commands. You know, that's all just a right-wing fantasy.
International, the Americans, the Democrats are too screwed up. The progressive movement here is too far gone. But the internet.
The progressive movement in Canada does not like Mark Carney. Every single one of them will tell you he's preferable to the Conservatives. And that's true, yeah. But at the end of the day, he's a fucking banker. Like, we were getting the most prototypical neolib you could possibly imagine in terms of like him as prime minister. He's already done in his first couple moves exactly what progressives would argue against. He eliminated the carbon tax. He's going to be eliminating the capital gains increase that the Liberals put on, and then just immediately doing things that are, I guess, trying to appeal to the very wealthy demographic of Canada and the support that could come from wealthy donors kind of class. That's like, yeah, he is not a, like, he's the worst person to try and frame as some kind of communist Marxist, because at the end of the day, he worked for Goldman Sachs. He's been the governor of 2 different banks for 2 different nations in the West. I mean, come on. You couldn't ask for more of a, yeah, welcome to Keir Starmerism 2 in Canada. Exactly. It's just, once again, this election comes down to a potential far right, individual, or at the end of the day, yet another milquetoast neoliberal who's going to continue to exacerbate wealth inequality without actually recognizing that is just sending you down a spiral where eventually a Trump is going to get elected. It's only a matter of time. You only get so many. Oh, that was really close. Yeah, I know. We barely barreled down the potential far right rabbit hole there, and it's really scary when fascism takes hold, because it kind of seems like it just doesn't ever leave unless it's forced to leave. So don't want to risk that. Yeah.
National liberal order will come to the rescue to save the world. They'll start in Canada, and you'll start to see the big universities overseas backing Harvard and the Ivies. This will lead to institutional support. So this is what they're going to consider their rally point will be today. Your thoughts are, why have the quote-unquote populist not really run as a fire-breathing populist? Is Canada just too nice? You just got to be too nice.
This is also wild to see, because that's exactly what Pierre, like, if I was to say, what did he do right in this election cycle? It was, for a long time, he started simply marketing himself as a faux populist. Not obviously branding himself as a faux populist, but he was doing faux populism really well. He was pretending to be a working class man. He was pretending to be like the everyday man, like, I just love how people build things with their hands. That's why I'm surrounded by all this wood and lumber behind me, because I like to build things out of wood, because I'm very handy. Like you, right? You have to build things, I'm sure. Your own toilet when you need to use one. That's how the common folk live. And so I'm just like you. Or to give really big speeches about how, like, we harness the power of the electricity that comes in through the lightning bolts that then touch us and kiss us from the sky, from Thor herself, as we then flow it into the electrical wires and all this other shit. I'm like, You've never had a working class job, have you? This is like how that dude talks in the 40-Year-Old Virgin about touching boobs for the first time. It's just really weird to hear someone be like, no, I love to do working class things like you. I drink cold beer, and I harness electricity outside with my wire as I hold it up to, again, take the power of Thor and put it into the wiring in our homes.
Of the vote. So again, in a world where the NDP ends up losing 10 percentage points, 15 percentage points, then all of us.
Out east, it was supposed to go almost all Liberal, and about 7 seats were supposed to go to the Cons. So the Cons are doing better by 3 than they were supposed to have been by this point in the prediction versus the outcome.
Has had the couple flips so far.
We got an 8 conservative hold.
Oh, NDP are on the board.
Hey, leading. I don't have an elected NDP on.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
That's so sad.
Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
In one riding.
Didn't some of those Newfoundland seats get redistricted though, and that kind of mixed things up a bit?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Steve.
Is that why?
Around the city definitely did, and that didn't change very much. But I don't know about those more rural ridings that are switching. I don't know how much they changed.
I made a Notion document that I stayed up until like 2 a.m. making.
I think we need to see this.
Has every single writing. And yeah, I can add you to it if you like want to drop that. I'll add you to my Notion doc.
I mean, I don't know if will that work over your 56K internet?
Probably not. It'll probably literally explode my computer. But,
she's on dial-up over there.
But no, I added all the writings.
I saw you scrolling through that earlier. It looks terrifying.
It's
Oh, no,
actually
that
a
is
really
an
cool document.
unfortunate
I have
freeze.
access. So.
That is one heck of a freeze frame. Amazing.
Poor Rachel.
It's not even worse.
I think she's doing tomorrow morning is like calling her internet provider and being like, "What do I have to do?"
100%.
I feel like if they have a blowout or he loses his seat, he'll announce it tonight. But if it's just like 10 seats, they'll be like, "Oh, we love losing," and then the next day they'll be like, "Actually, I'm resigning."
You know what sucks about that is at the end of the day, he's getting saddled with all of the baggage of Justin Trudeau when he was really responsible near the tail end for some of the better parts that happened under that minority government, you know, like the dental care, the farmer care, but like they're so good at just basically like manipulating the story to be like, at the end of the day, he was basically doing it for his pension and he doesn't care about anybody. And then he's like, and that it worked. Like it absolutely worked.
100%.
They also ended that deal in the worst possible way.
They did.
Less than a week after Polyev was calling them out, they were like, no, he's not dictating anything. And then they're like, actually, yeah, we're ending it. Like,
that was a rock and a hard place. That was a really difficult situation.
Yeah,
But
I think
like
he just
the
didn't do enough
story-
to claim those wins, right? Like he didn't do enough to distance himself from
Stupid.
Trudeau.
Yeah.
And he let the Liberal Party water down all the policies that they got passed and didn't tell the story of, if you elected us, you would get the same policy, but better. Right?
In fact,
He just didn't tell that story well enough.
What you mean
Well, the
having
fact that the
national
dental care
dental run
program
through
is
Sun Life?
Yes, Sun Life, exactly. We're on the same page here, Steve.
Good Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the problem is whenever you are the smaller party in an agreement like that, a coalition or a supply and competence or whatever, you're always going to look like you just asked them to do it and they decided to do it.
Right.
So you like, there's no credit really available, right? Because like, what credit is there for the NDP to take here? Like, we drag them into it, yeah, but they're the ones who did it, right?
Yeah.
So
it's really hard to do because it's great policies, but it's with that deal, it was hard to get those policies without taking the political hit. And I think, especially since Trudeau resigned, like they're really the only remnant left of it, being like, hey, remember how Trudeau was there that whole time? That's Singh's fault, which I don't know how you get rid of that, honestly. It's just like a bad place to be in.
Is added now finally?
I just got an email from Global. They said all of them are closed. So I assume
it's past 7 here in BC, so we're closed. We closed at 7.
Yeah.
What's everybody's guess? How long are we till
time
results?
zones are so confusing
till
from
it's
over
called?
here. So
I know.
11:30.
Guys, I don't think that.
Yeah, I'd say about 60,
I really
90
want to
minutes.
show at least.
I'm gonna say 2 hours. I say we're looking at 2 hours.
It was 8 minutes in the Ontario one.
I'll say
like
1
obviously
hour.
it's one time
I think-
zone, but like
I don't think it'll be too long.
If anybody,
Related, lonely, like want a sense of
Rachel?
community. It's the same shit.
Really sorry to cut you off, but CTV's called it for the Liberals.
yeah, CTV already called it.
excuse me.
no way.
CTV
Did you say 2
declared
hours?
Liberal win.
2 hours?
What?
What?
Yeah,
It was 8 minutes.
I have
2
been in a
hours.
long time.
Hey, I said 1 hour. I was close.
Holy shit.
CTV's calling
So
it.
they're not saying
funny.
majority minority, but
News,
holy
guess.
shit.
How long can CBC hold out for that?
So for the Americans who are
minutes,
watching, this is what
minutes.
Canadian elections look like.
Yeah, only 2 weeks.
What?
Oh my
and
God.
Sean Fraser pulled ahead by
Oh, really?
by 15 votes, basically. By 18
like-
votes.
That, but
vote
CTV
matters,
calling
people.
it this early
Every
is
vote
Yeah,
matters.
that is.
It's
whew.
so wild. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know how they're doing that.
Is it most of Toronto's not? in
Probably
there.
like a guesstimate based on incredibly safe seats and like the polls that have reported so far. Like that
Yeah,
would be my guess.
CBC's. Yeah.
I mean,
CBC's not
I
No,
feel
it's
like-
also like you have all the Alberta and Saskatchewan seats kind of like you have an idea of what they're going to look like. Obviously, the BC ones are just coming in and you're missing some around like, Toronto and whatnot. But
Yeah.
it doesn't look like there's enough to get the Conservatives over the line at the moment, right?
Oh, thank
Yeah,
God.
so they're
'cause I
calling
only
it-
filmed one video, and I didn't want to have to film another.
That's fair.
Okay, so we can relax a little bit then, right? Like we're looking at
Yeah.
a liberal majority or minority government. Oh, CBC just did it. I knew it.
Hopefully
I said
minority.
mere minutes before
Yeah,
they cracked.
CBC just called
Yeah,
it
of
too.
course.
Yeah.
The pressure was
Did
too
CBC
great.
call it?
Yep. just now.
CBC just
A
called.
long night is
So
more
they're
like
calling
a
that it's going to be a
majority or
liberal
minority, right?
government, but they're not calling minority or
Right.
majority yet.
Right.
I
Which is
mean,
really what we were.
If there's going to be a similar situation of what's going on in the UK right now, where like the Conservatives are flailing and the further right reform is like taking that mantle, but I don't know if the Conservatives have the guts to split again. I feel like you can't have one, maybe just out of pride, like they can't win one prime minister over multiple terms with the like joining of the parties and then split because they didn't get their way. But I genuinely don't know where they go from here because it seems like they can't course correct. So I don't know.
I think they can. I think honestly, I think it will you need to get rid of Polyev. And I think if they get rid of Polyev, I feel like they can kind of go, well, forget that guy. He was an anomaly. We can kind of go back to being a more like not, a more traditionally conservative policy because he was the attack dog. Like he is he's not unique in the overall global conservative movement, but I feel like he stood out because he was just so vile in contrast to most Canadian politicians that I feel like it would be like poking like lancing a boil, where it's just like, just get rid of that guy, and then they can kind of go, well, he never happened. We're just going to go back and I don't know. That's
can you do that?
But I feel like that
as a
tension
party
between like.
I feel
just like, can you do that as the party that overwhelming? Oh God!
So,
you go ahead, Paris. Go ahead.
Sorry, Steve.
Go ahead.
But I feel like that tension between like the Western libertarians and like the East Coast progressive conservatives is like becoming harder and harder to bridge, especially as you have like the Westerners becoming more extreme when you look at like the Danielle Smiths and the BC conservatives, and like the progressive conservatives on the East Coast, if you look at like Ontario, Nova Scotia, are ascendant, are doing really well, are winning majority governments and winning more seats. And it's like they seem to be ascendant. Their type of politics seems to be working in the places that have greater population, not Nova Scotia, but Ontario, So I don't know. And especially like Steve said, after 4 elections of losing, like the idea of all these parties coming together was supposed to be that they were going to be big enough so that they could win these governments, like with Stephen Harper, and now they continually cannot do that. And even after the 9 years of Justin Trudeau, they still couldn't take it back. Like that has to kind of drive an even further wedge between those two camps, right?
I have my
do you think we
kooky theory.
What's that?
Western Bloc. I genuinely think there's going to be a Western separatist party.
Do you think we see?
Did you see that clip on
conservatives start pushing for election reform?
I think it'll be as fringe as PPC though, if that comes up. But I think the difficulty is that the Conservatives are going to have to choose between either just like another hostile takeover of the party. Because here's the difficulty. Here's the problem within the Conservative Party. The reason why they keep fucking up is because when they choose their leader, you have to appeal to the social conservatives to win. That's why like Peter MacKay lost to Erin O'Toole, because Erin O'Toole played to the social conservatives. They're the ones who end up crowning the leader like every time. Yeah. And so you end up with these leaders that tend to be further on the right and don't come from the progressive conservative side of the camp. And so like, yeah, it's a whole fucking mess. And basically, like, I think that the Conservatives have to face either they pivot to become this more progressive conservative party and just hold all the Reform Canadian Alliance, like for the right people hostage within that, or they reckon with the fact that they probably never win an election again. A field of
He says so much weird shit, man. He's just so weird.
Yeah. Do you know what my little pet peeve is? He says always.
I point it out every time we watch
it. Always.
That man has never learned how to say the word always. It's infuriating every time.
It's his own little JJ McCulloughism.
Oh God! Speaking of, I can't wait to see JJ's breakdown of this tomorrow.
He'll blame the French. I guarantee you, he'll blame the French. No question. He always blames the French. He hates them so much.
I had to double check that, but it was like a poster and a lectern or something.
I don't think I've ever watched a JJ McCullough video.
Really? Start to finish.
Actually, stay away
tax
from
on
them.
homes.
He sits on an exercise
Steve
ball.
Pakin's The Agenda one time.
That's because there are a lot of very empty places.
Yeah, it's like the U.S.
Very rural.
Oh yeah, the U.S.
Maps
The
don't
U.S.
vote.
is like, this is rigged because look at the map.
Yeah.
Look at the map. It's so much.
Maps don't vote.
Do you think we don't live
The
there?
Conservatives do that too, though. They're like, look at all the blue, and we're still
Don't
not
get
the government.
nervous.
It's like
Everyone in the chat getting nervous. Don't get nervous. It's been called. that nothing would change substantially. We're not going to suddenly have a conservative government. These are fluctuating early polls.
So you're saying there's a chance.
You hoping for the Tories? Blue wave.
Wow.
And
well, it's half of the province.
That's interesting.
Okay, so for those who don't know, northern Saskatchewan, lovely, fantastic place. Not a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very few. And like a lot of fly-in communities, amazing places to fish and hunt. Amazing. Like world famous fly-in communities to go do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But just it's going to be the physically hugest riding you're ever going to see just because there's not that many people.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think
none of it would be the largest riding. Would that be right in terms of?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. That would
12?
make sense.
Yeah.
And
Guys,
the Mercator projection
sorry.
screws it up. So by
Yeah.
landmass,
Yep.
it might be the
So
Northwest
Rachel.
Territories too.
Oh, interesting.
This isn't anything still, but 12 polls reporting in Carleton, so still low. But Poilievre's trailing by 1,700 votes.
Oh my
12
God,
reporting.
guys.
It's still so early, but I
He's
honestly didn't even expect it to last that long.
Oh,
Yeah, I assumed that was going to be a mirage, but this
It's
looks
still
like
so
a
early.
genuine lead for Fanjoy at this point.
Like,
We'll
I
see.
know,
I
Rachel,
don't know. I mean,
Rachel, you understand me when I'm coming from this, but like, this is purely spite. But with all the fucking death threats that we get because of the things we say about Poilievre, I need this fucker gone.
15 polls. 15
Oh.
reporting. And
15 reporting
Bruce
now?
has 58.6%. And
Wow.
Poilievre's at 38%.
Yeah, it's not some like narrow mirage lead. It's like 20%. Communities that are just wildly unmonitored.
Yeah, it's
It's
the
just-
Aiden Rosses that are doing it. to
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. And Asmongold too. Asmongold's the number one, I think, viewed streamer in the world. That came out just recently, and that's like,
Yep, this
that's
month.
bad news. Yeah, that's not great.
No, it's not great at all. Yeah, Asmongold is the number one streamer. He was streamed more than like Kai and IShowSpeed, like all of the like.
And
larger
IShowSpeed is
streamers.
such an entertainer. That's what doesn't make any sense
he
to
the
me.
one who
Like
said, like, all that
backflipping
really
off like
gross stuff?
world monuments, and then there's a guy who eats band-aids and he's beating him. Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, Asmongold was like a World of Warcraft streamer that has decided that
Okay.
politics is easier, and he's just like parroting Trump talking points and just being a reactionary for like the laughs because he has a young impressionable audience that eat it up.
Mhm.
And he streams to
Is that the
50,000
really
people at a
disgusting
time.
Stuff about Palestinians.
Oh
Yes, that is the one. The one that got banned for
Yeah.
14 days for calling all, not just Palestinians, but everybody in the Middle East an inferior culture.
yeah. Mhm.
This is a man who smears his own tooth blood on his bedroom wall because he doesn't
oh,
want to
I
get up
saw
in
the
the middle of the night.
picture. That was
Yeah.
the cockroaches and the desk setup. Like
And
my
the-
God, I
and
felt
the
bad
dead
about
rat
having a
alarm
couple
clock, too.
drinks.
That.
Honestly, I got to avoid making eye contact with certain people because then it's going to get too emotional up here. So I just made the mistake of doing that, so I'm going to look away now. You know who you are. Don't look at me again. Almost 8 years ago, I was elected the leader of this incredible party, this incredible movement.
Are you just gonna step down? Could be the end of an
I've
era.
worked really hard to be worthy of this trust, to live up to the legacy of our movement. Hold on a sec, I guess.
I mean, he's got a lot to be proud of besides just being a trailblazer, as being like the first person of color to lead a major political party in Canada. He did actually what you're supposed to do with soft power in a government where the Liberals had a minority and they brought forward a lot of good things that people are going to benefit. Like, you can put a number on the amount of people, the tens of thousands of Canadians who now have dental care for the first time in their lives. And as a result of fighting for that in his position and getting so much hate for it along the way. Like, he basically was pushing for some of the best policies that came out of the last years of the Libs and was getting blamed for a lot of the like Trudeau burnout after Trudeau left and he stayed, which, you know, that's a sad reality of that's how he just got treated. But ultimately, that's a pretty impressive legacy to utilize soft power that way. That'll benefit people for, you know, generations.
Yeah.
He did make the
Also,
right
he kind
decision
of
in
did
like
sacrifice. He kind of sacrificed his own party to not have a conservative majority. Like I heard all of these people being like, "Oh, he could have called an election and they could have been the opposition," and I'm like, "No, that's not who Jagmeet Singh is. He's not someone who's like down to have the conservatives in power just so that he can have his own party be in a better position." Like, I don't know. It's harm reduction, you know.
I did love that he closed with the NDP aren't going anywhere. We know.
Yeah. Kind of a double.
So the
entendre.
NDP built Canada. I was like, okay, sure.
Guys, fucking Aaron Gunn won.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad news.
That's
a downer.
That's so disappointing.
That's a massive downer.
Who's Aaron Gunn?
I also I swear he was one of my reply guys.
Aaron Gunn's a
but I couldn't find any
YouTuber,
of the
residential school
tweets.
denialist, racist, like just
Yeah.
one of the shittier candidates
Horrible.
that like, yeah, it's an indictment
No.
on basically
Yep.
the entire country that person is going to be an elected politician. That's really fucked
Yeah,
up.
it's a fucking
It's
disgrace.
shameful.
Yeah, it's a disgrace.
Shameful.
An
Yeah.
absolute disgrace.
Makes you think when all those like BC conservative ghouls got elected
Yeah.
in like the BC election
Yeah.
not too long ago.
Yep.
Yeah, that was horrifying.
That you're disappointed. Change is difficult and it takes time, particularly because we must now never stop. The people of Canada deserve that we continue to fight for them.
Who voted for other parties. And so, my message tonight, for the single mother working 2 jobs but still has an empty fridge and an empty bank account, for the young people who despair at never being able to afford a home, for the seniors on fixed incomes whose savings are eroded by inflation and no longer feel safe in their local neighborhood parks, for those who are now living in fear and terror because of crime,
don't feel safe
for
in the
those
parks
worried
either.
about losing their jobs because of unacceptable tariffs from the United States of America, for all of those who feel left behind and forgotten, my message is one of hope. Change will take time, but we will fight for that change.
That's so funny he says that because it all sounds terrifying. He's like, if you're afraid to leave the house, if you're afraid to drink the glass of water, if you're afraid to look someone in the eyes because you think they might stab you in them, you know what they'll do. Well, I'm here to tell them. It's like, Jesus Christ, what world do you live in?
The conservatives or the liberals and NDP to like not being able to govern together, their numbers ticked up so that they could govern together.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too in real time. I was like, oh no, they can't. They got the numbers.
Yeah, 164, 7 and 1 right now.
Yeah.
That whole
Yeah,
speech
it's
was
164, 8
basically,
and 1.
I know we lost, but really, we won.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love they had a random made up fact to sound like they won. He's like, we haven't gotten this many votes since 1988.
I might have
was
lost
like,
my own
okay.
seat, but also we won. Yeah.
I heard Rachel's favorite part of the speech right at the end there. Canada, always.
Yeah, always. Always.
He literally cannot say the word always. It's
No.
weird.
Yeah, it is strange.
I just...
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwick, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs. That's patreon.com/theserfs.